Welcome back to Little Fix, Big Life. We're Demi and Jonny. After years of dreaming about coastal living, earlier this year we packed up our entire lives and made the big move to southwest Wales. This channel is where we'll share our journey, from fixing up our 80s bungalow, to adventures with our 2 spaniels, to keeping our trusty defenders on the road. It's about DIY, life by the sea, and chasing big dreams one little fix at a time. This has been the week of slightly bigger fixes, one much more urgent than the others after finding a very wet ceiling in our bedroom. We managed to finish the dog crates, do some maintenance on the defenders, and even sneak off for some last-minute sun and surf. In our last video, we showed the initial build of Jonny's DIY dog crates. This week, we had to get them finished.
So we started out using knotting solution to seal all the knots before moving on to 2 coats of primer. On this first one, I corked all the joins before primering, but on the second one, I did as we should do and primed first. Then corked, then primed again before moving on to the top coats. The reason you're supposed to do it that way is both for cork and filler, it having been primed first and sealed, it gives a slightly better surface to key to.
Then we had to make a decision on colour. We knew the crates needed to match the lounge, so although we're nowhere near ready to paint this room, we had to make a call on the colour scheme early. We're thinking we want to try some half-height panelling, which will then be painted darker than the rest of the wall. The idea being that the dog crates will then sit either side of the new chimney breast and blend into the wall seamlessly. First we trialled some tester pots from B&Q. Then we saw Coat Paints had a sale on, so we ordered some stick-on swatches from there and made our choice. As usual, I wasn't sure which I preferred, but I trusted Jonny's judgment, and as always I was so glad I did because this colour is amazing. I think it's much more green in the paint and after drying than on the card, but that's exactly what we were after. Ooh, looks green now.
It is green.
Each crate got 2 coats, and we were really pleased they didn't need a third. The paint went on really well, which is a good sign for the rest of the room. After it dried, Jonny then put the hardware back on and the dogs were free to get cosy. At some point I'd love to make some little cushions to go in, but we'll get to that later down the line. We're so pleased with how they turned out, and the dogs seem to like them too. I can't wait to see them in place when this room has been fully redecorated. So if you hadn't already guessed, we're into our defenders. Jonny grew up helping his dad maintain his Jensen Interceptor, so learnt from a really young age the fundamental of engines and how to look after cars. This love for having vehicles that can be fixed with a little DIY spirit and simple tools is part of the pull of a defender. I also have a soft spot for them too, firstly loving any 4x4 where you can sit up nice and high to drive, but I also spent 18 months running an upholstery studio where we made seat covers and accessories specifically for Land Rovers. The white truck is Jonny's work defender. It's an old energy network vehicle, hence the roller shutters and roof rack, but that's what makes this perfect for a tradie. It hasn't always been smooth sailing though. When we first got it, we had issues with the turbo, meaning the engine would randomly cut out, causing a very stressful 7-hour drive to Cornwall for a holiday one year. To avoid stress like that again, we try and keep on top of the never-ending Defender maintenance. This week's jobs included changing brake discs and pads. Jonny also discovered 3 calipers needed replacing too.
Doing pads and discs on a Defender is a slightly more complicated job than on most cars because you have to take the whole wheel bearing out to do it. So yeah, you then have to make sure you're retorquing everything up correctly and got the right float on the bearings. Having gone round and changed all the pads, discs and replaced the calipers that needed doing, I took it out for a test drive and realised that I still wasn't getting the braking power that I was hoping for. So I inspected the servo and realised the diaphragm had gone in it, so that was the next job, to then change out this brake servo to make sure I'm back up to full braking power.
Minty also got some love this week. It recently lost a windscreen wiper, so that was replaced. And it got 2 fresh hubs to replace leaky ones. At some point we'll do the other pair so they match, but we didn't have the budget for it this month. This Defender is obviously a totally different vehicle to the white one. Jonny actually rebuilt it from the chassis up, so it's definitely part of the family now. It even played a crucial part in our wedding as we filled the tub with ice for it to become the bar for the night. Let us know if you're interested in hearing more about Minty's story. We have plenty to share on its history and the rebuild. In a total change of pace, last week we headed off on holiday to Portugal, leaving the dogs at home with the best local dog sitter. We spent a week in Portugal on a surf camp, staying in a small villa a short drive from the beach. We don't go away very often, but this week was incredible. We're still very much beginners at surfing, but part of us wanting to move to the coast was to get more into this sport, so we figured this kind of holiday would be perfect. We got the chance to have daily surf lessons, including theory sessions too. The weather and the waves were amazing, throwing a range of sea conditions at us, perfect for learning. We've both left feeling much more confident to tackle the baby waves of Pembury or the surf at Newgale now. We also visited a local holistic winery and vineyard, hung out with the neighbours, did some yoga, and generally relaxed with the most amazing group of like-minded people from all over the world. This all meant we returned home ready to tackle the leaky roof.
So with some of the rainfall we had recently, we noticed a bit of a damp patch in the top corner of our bedroom. So I'm today needing to go and try and hopefully fix a leak. I think I know what it is. I think, see, on the gable end of the house, there's like a plastic gutter, which then catches any of the water that runs off the end of the tiles and then brings it down. I think over time that has become full of like moss and tile runoff. So instead of running out the gutter down to the actual guttering, I think it's then going onto the felt underneath the tiles, which isn't too much of a problem because obviously the felt's been doing that. But then again, over time, I think some of the water's pooled and it looks like it's like dropped a corner down and it's started to wear through the felt, and so that's where it's getting in. So I'm going to strip a bit back, replace the felt, put some new battens on, clean out the gutter, and put it all back together. So once I've got it uncovered, as you can see, some of the felt that's dropped away, and obviously water's then getting in through there. There's about 3 different spots on the way up that I could see where it had pulled, and this had also caused some rot to the battens. So I went ahead and removed all of them, and I've got some replacement to put on in its place. I fed the new felt in underneath the existing at the top, and then on top of the existing felt on the side, but underneath the battens to hold it in place, while I then also fed it underneath the plastic trim piece before putting the new battens on, fixing it all in place while pulling it tight. Having securely fixed the battens over the new felt and cleaned out the gutter on the side, I then went about relaying the old tiles.
We're pretty happy with the repair. A few days after this, we had another downpour and the ceiling inside seems to have stayed dry. So we're confident we've got the fix right. Thanks for joining again this week. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to subscribe, we'd really appreciate it as we try to grow our channel and keep the renovations going. This is Little Fix, Big Life. We'd love to have you along for the ride.